Hi there, it's Jenna from scribblinggrace.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how I paint sunflowers. So I'm going to be using watercolors today, but this is totally doable with acrylics as well. And I actually did this with acrylics in the same exact way. So I'm going to post that video tomorrow on my Instagram and Facebook. So be sure that you're following me over there so you can see that. Um, but today I'm going to be showing you how I used watercolors to create sunflowers. And I also do have a tutorial that I did a while ago on loose watercolor sunflowers that's a little bit simpler in the way that you don't need a lot of technique and you can do it really quickly. So that one's definitely worth checking out. This one we're doing a little bit more realistic than that loose sunflower tutorial, but still we're not completely lifelike, we're still letting this be open to interpretation. So I'm starting off by just taking my pencil and lightly tracing out some half circles because I'm going to be doing basically half sunflowers for this page rather than a full sunflower, but you could absolutely do a full sunflower if you want. But I traced those little half circles kind of just to give me a guide of where I wanted my sunflowers to go. I ended up completely changing the bottom ones, so no biggie. But then I'm taking my paint and my small round paintbrush and just dabbing that paint into the center to create kind of a messy circle. I don't want to just paint it perfectly circle because it makes it look a little bit more realistic by just dabbing it, but you get a little more detail in that center as well. I'm using my Kuretake Ganzatambi watercolor set, so I already have a bunch of pre-mixed colors to choose from. I have the 48 color set, so there's so many to choose from. I don't have to worry about mixing up colors for this. But I want to point out that if you don't have this watercolor set, you can absolutely mix your own colors. So I wanted kind of a reddish, purpley, browny-ish color for the center, and then I want just a few different tones of yellow for the petals. So you can mix those up by using one yellow color and adding a tiny bit of brown or a tiny bit of red to create some different tones. I can't remember the exact name of the colors that I'm using here, but I will put the names, I'll look them up and put them in the blog post that goes along with this video, along with links to all the supplies that I'm using and links to other helpful tutorials so that you can find everything that you need to create a page just like this. And that'll be in the blog post that goes along with this video at scribblinggrace.com/sunflower. So it's a really easy one to remember, but I'll put that link in the description below as well. So I have this real time and I'm not talking fast enough to show you how exactly I'm doing it, but I'm just taking my small round paintbrush and I'm alternating between my yellow colors to create each petal. So I'm just picking up one of my yellow colors and using the tip of my paintbrush pretty much just to create a leaf shape. So if you've seen any of my leaf tutorials, this is the same exact shape that I'm going to be doing. So I'm just starting from the end of that center point and using that tip of my paintbrush to create a pointed oval, I would say. And I kind of create a little wave in there as well. And like this petal, I tucked it behind the petal before it, so that kind of will help create a little bit more natural look to it instead of having all of your petals being the same perfect petal shape all around your circle. Having some tucked underneath and some in front just makes it a little bit more sunflowerish, I think, rather than daisy, I think. So that's just my opinion though. So again, instead of fussing with applying no pressure and then applying pressure like I do with my leaves, this one I just kind of took that tip of my paintbrush and created the shape that I wanted. So though it may look complicated, it's really not all that complicated. You're really just kind of creating the shape that you want with your paintbrush, just like you would with a marker. So again, just switching between those yellow colors and some going over, some I'm just overlapping completely, and letting those watercolors leak into the petal beforehand. So I'm not sure if I'm doing the best job explaining it, but I'm hoping that watching this you'll understand a little bit better what I mean. I really want to encourage you that though this tutorial is a little bit more advanced than some of my other tutorials, I really want to encourage you that you can do it. It just takes some practice, and this one might take a little bit more practice than others, but you can definitely create a beautiful sunflower. With your own look to it and your own beautiful artistic eye. I didn't have any painting experience when I started Bible journaling, and almost 4 years later, I'm able to create pages that I'm really, really proud of. And it's really just taken practice. I didn't have any art experience. So I just want to encourage you that you can create things like this. I get so many messages about how you can't paint at all for the life of you. So I just want to encourage you that yes, you can. It just takes some time and consistent practice. And you can only get better by doing. So I hope that you will give it a shot. So I just went back over my center point with those same reddish brown colors to create that center, darker center than I had before. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm starting on my second sunflower. I was going to do 3, but then I felt like they're taking up so much space that I would just do 2. And I'm going to show you again how I create these petals here. So I'm going to take my small round paintbrush, start at the outside of the center, and starting with a little pressure, I kind of am applying some pressure and releasing the pressure to create a point. So it goes, thin, fat, and then thin again. Now I'm taking my other yellow color and creating that same shape, but this time I'm tucking it underneath the petal before it. So I'm just kind of avoiding going right over that petal and kind of just creating a curve along next to that original first petal that I did. And now I'm going to go ahead and take some more yellow, and this time I'm just going to do its own separate petal. So I hope that helps to explain the petals a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and switch yellow colors and create another petal on this side. So again, doing the same leaf shape. Some I'm kind of curving a little bit, that end point in a little bit different direction, but if you just kept all of your petals looking the same shape, this still would look really beautiful. So if you have a little bit hard time trying to angle that tip point in different directions to create a little bit more waviness, don't worry about it. Just create the shape that you're most comfortable with. So again, some I'm just tucking underneath, just like this, just painting alongside that first petal. Another thing to keep in mind is that you can see at the curve of that center circle, you can see where the petals meet, there's that white space in between all those petals. It kind of look like a triangle shape, and I feel like that is pretty important when you're painting a sunflower. You want to have the white space at the bottom of each petal because that helps to differentiate the petals from each other. If you don't have that white space, it can kind of look like they're all just one big giant petal, and it just helps to create that segmentation of those petals and makes it look a little bit cleaner, I think. But again, this is just my interpretation of a sunflower. So that's how I paint my sunflowers. But I really want to encourage you to create your own thing and do your own thing with your own talent. So anyways, I hope that helped you learn how to paint the sunflower. I'm going to go ahead and finish my page by adding some a green background, just with a small flat paintbrush and small round paintbrush, just getting in between those little triangles there and that white space, filling everything up with the green. And then I'm going to create some really simple leaves. So I'm going to be doing the same shape as my petals, but I'm just going to make them longer. So just creating these nice long ovally points, pointed ovals. And I'm decided, instead of going from my sunflowers, I decided to make them come out of the edge of the page instead. Just personal preference. So I'm using a olive green color here. This is my favorite green color from my Gansai Tampi watercolor set. I love it, so I use it a lot. And I'm just filling in that blank space at the top and bottom of my page with those leaves. Keeping them really simple because I really want the focal point to be my sunflowers. And that is it for the painting portion of my page. Now let's take a little break and see some baby hands. Boop. Boop. That's your hand. Boop. All right, so now that my page is dry, I'm going to go ahead and add my lettering. So I totally forgot to mention earlier the verse I'm working on. I try to mention that earlier in the videos, but sorry about that. So I'm working on Psalm 103, really verses 1 through 5, but really I'm just kind of working on the whole psalm. But the first few verses of Psalm 103 are, Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquity, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit, who crowns you from the steadfast love, who crowns you with steadfast love and mercy, who satisfies you with good, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. So I'm focusing mostly on Psalm 103, verse 1. So I'm writing out, Bless the Lord, O my soul. Really simple, and I'm trying to create kind of a whimsy brush calligraphy here. I kind of felt like I struggled with my lettering on this page, but that's okay. I'm using my Tombow Funosuke brush pen to create that lettering. And if you're new here, you don't know that I have tutorials on creating brushed calligraphy already. So I'll put the links to the brush calligraphy tutorials and other hand lettering tutorials that I have in the blog post goes along with this video at scribblinggrace.com/sunflower. And this style particularly is more like the bounce calligraphy, so that's the one you really want to check out. But that one's a little bit more advanced, so if you've never done any type of calligraphy or brush lettering before, check out my faux calligraphy tutorial and the brush lettering basics. All those 3 tutorials that I just mentioned have free printables that go along with them as well. So be sure to head on over to the blog post. I'll link it in the description below, and you can find all those tutorials that you need to create a page just like this. So I did my first go with my Tombow Funosuke, and then I decided to thicken up those downstrokes, that thicker part of my lettering, just to try to make it pop a little bit more. And that's pretty much it for my page. One last thing I forgot to mention earlier is that I am using my ESV Interleave Journaling Bible, which has a full blank page, but you could absolutely do this in a normal journaling Bible with the 2-inch margins. Just scale it down a little bit, maybe use a smaller paintbrush. You could also do this on a separate sheet of paper and add it as a tip-in into your journaling Bible with tape or glue. You can do this in a separate notebook. Do your thing, have fun with it. Although I do highly recommend this ESV Interleaved Bible. It's probably my favorite one. Alright, so that was the back side of my page as well. No bleed through with the supplies that I use, and I did not prep my page with anything. And that's it. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Be sure to check out that blog post at scribblinggrace.com/sunflower. And all right, I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.